Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and I am here as usual to present Tao of the Day. What is Tao of the Day? Well, it starts with the Tao Te Ching. If you're not familiar with the Tao Te Ching, it is a ancient text that consists of 81 verses or chapters. They're very short, and they're poetic or sort of like riddles because the universe is as we perceive it is as we are, and so it isn't one thing, right? Everything that we are is what is the universe. And I know there is a lot of judgment, a lot of crazy things out there in the world about what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing, but what's right and what's wrong, all of that is just coming from a space of fear. And so what I want to help everybody sort of embrace and present so people can embrace is the Tao Te Ching. And the Tao Te Ching is an ancient text. It's kind of like one of the first self-help books, right? It consists of 81 very short verses that help us understand how we can do what I talk about so much and recover ourselves. And it's not recover the identity that we are, recover the big S self, that self that can't be identified, that can't be expressed, that self within us that is bigger than well it's everything. That self within us that is connected to all things. Now, our mind can only grasp so much of the wholeness of the universe. If you've read the Bhagavad Gita, you know that um, the main character, I forget all the names. I never remember names and things, and dates and stuff, but I get the gist. And the gist in the Bhagavad Gita is when God presented himself or itself to the main character, the warrior, the archer, I believe, or whatnot. Um, what ended up happening was there was everything got expressed all at once, and it was impossible to look into it. And that's the thing, like we as human beings think we can get it, think we can understand some shit, but we don't understand it. We like to think we do. We're really proud of ourselves when we get something like, oh, we can put this seed in the ground and we get a tree. Oh, look at what we've done. Did you do that? No. And do you understand what happened? No. But still, we give ourselves all of this credit. And the Tao expresses and tries to express in words. And it starts by saying it cannot express itself in words. So it is at least honest. Unlike every other self-help book, unlike every other religion, unlike every other philosophy, it starts by saying, look, words cannot express what I am trying to get across to you, but I'm going to do my best. And that's where it starts. And if we could start every day with, look, I can't understand what's going on within myself. I can't understand why sadness and grief and pain exist within my life, but I am going to live my life today with curiosity as to trying to do my best to understand its importance and its beauty. I don't know how this experience right now is going to ultimately express itself to me, but I'm going to receive that expression no matter what comes. We're going to bring Lois up and we're going to talk a little bit about the Tao. So, this is, if you've never been to Tao of the Day, Lois and I are going to go through one. Lois, how are you, my love?
Hey, I'm wonderful. What were you talking about? I just came in on the tail end.
Oh, I'm just talking about, like I'm just doing my regular sort of intro to what the Tao is. The Tao is, you know, this ancient text, and all I'm talking about is like, look, the Tao. At least the Tao starts by saying, "I can't express this."
Hmm.
By saying words are particular, it cannot express Tao, and so it starts. The first verse starts by saying, I'm just going to do my best. And if we can start every day with the same, like, I don't, I can't express or grasp the depth of what's happening. But if
Yeah.
I can recognize that what's happening is beautiful and what's happening is for my best good, then I will enter this day with gratitude and curiosity.
That's wonderful. And that makes sense too, because that's still in line with the the four agreements as well.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I just had everybody. That was a book I gave away for Christmas because
Mhm.
I think a lot of people needed to hear it because I didn't read it so many times and I saw it. It was on sale. I'm like, ooh, Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Everybody needs to understand, like the four agreements, right?
yeah,
Like don't take shit too seriously. like
that's
like,
right. Don't
you
make
know,
assumptions. Don't
don't
make
make
assumptions.
assumptions. Yeah.
Have integrity with your word.
Mhm.
That your word means something. And
Yeah,
then
when I was a kid, that was everything. Yeah, I mean, because I was in gangs and stuff when I was a kid.
uh
So your word on the
it's your
street,
bond. That's
your
right.
word on the street is everything. If you rat, if you fucking
Yeah.
you are that meant an integrity and respect.
Right.
I'm one of the big things that I'm always trying to overcome is my fear of losing someone's respect. But sometimes someone's respect isn't worth having.
The whole thing is that if I, as long as I got self respect,
Mm,
I don't care too much about whether I lose somebody else's or not because that's not my job to gain their
that's not
respect.
your business.
My job is to have that self respect.
Yes, yes, yeah.
You know, that's where I try to stand. I mean, sometimes it's harder standing there than not when people are really, really close to you, but you make a practice of it.
Yeah,
Shit.
that's right.
You make
That's
a
right.
practice of it saying, hey, wait a minute. This is this about me or is this about you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you gotta do your best at all time and not make assumptions and have that integrity.
Yeah.
And because without that, then what really do you have?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because money's that's fake. That just came about
Yeah.
within the last few hundred years. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
what really is there? You got your integrity and all that stuff. That means a great deal more than how much money did we make or my respect that you give me my respect because you make this much money. You know,
Mm,
it's
yeah.
like so. My thing is, if I respect myself, I ain't got to worry about nobody else
Yeah.
you know. And then I keep my integrity with myself. I don't got to worry about nobody because if I keep my integrity with myself, I'm going to follow my intuition. I'm going to listen to myself. I'm going to trust myself. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
and for the last so many years and going through this healing process, this is what I've had to do to heal. Because when I was worried
Yeah.
about what they say, and I say they meaning anybody,
Anybody.
even the people in my head,
Mm-hmm.
the they that I make up that don't have no name,
Mm.
and we do that.
They
And
exist in the millions.
yeah, okay.
They be there.
Oh yeah, all right. The voices in your head that say, if you do that, they gonna do this, and it's like, who's talking there? Who is really
Yeah.
talking there? But you're doing that to yourself too. But at any rate, yeah. Oh, maybe in your neck of the woods, my daughter just told me that she got an assignment coming up in Chicago in March.
What?
And then I get, and, if she goes and she has her hotel, I can go stay at her hotel, and I'm in Chicago. All I gotta do is get my flight.
Oh, well.
So, so I'm thinking about it, and that way I can see how far along on the progress you've gotten, because I
Yeah.
would love to see that. But I don't know where in Chicago yet.
Look,
But I will be
Chicago's.
there a whole week.
Yeah, well, I got you. Like you come to Chicago, you're my guest. Like not yeah, like you stay at the hotel with your daughter and stuff. You want to stay here? Like I got beds, whatever. But I will pick you up. I will show you Chicago because it is home. So and we'll make it.
Okay, all right, then we'll fix that on the back end. So I'm gonna
Yep.
get more information from her because she just she told me her schedule yesterday, but I didn't write anything down. That's why I don't have any particulars. But I figured, oh, I'm gonna get a
Damn
down
right.
today. I'm gonna go tell Martin John. And then when I decided to get on the app, there it come here.
Here I
What you
am.
when you know there he is. I'm like, spirit, you so cool.
Yeah,
know
damn
that,
right.
so because I came on when you were on,
Yeah.
and Rodney was on too. But at any rate, give me number 77. I don't know why 77, but I just came into my head.
77, the bending of a bow. Tao acts on the world as the bending of a bow, the top forced down when the bottom is moved up. It is important for one to act without the it is impossible for one to act without the other responding.
Wow.
Unlike man, Tao is patient and neutral, quietly adjusting excess and deficiencies, taking from what is too much and giving to what isn't enough. Ordinary men go against the Tao, taking resources from the areas that are deficit or that are deficient, giving resources to the areas that compulsively consume. The master knows all things are being adjusted. Although she cannot always see it in action, she has faith in it is working through her. In this way, she allows her actions to unfold, neither dwelling on them nor taking credit. Aligned with Tao, they complement all things.
Hmm. All is one, all oneness of everything, interconnectivity of it all. I can't, I can't be over here and do something in my neighborhood and my neighbors not be affected by it, regardless of, say for instance, uh, packages come into the house all the time, every day, all the time, every day, and all the streets are filled up with delivery drivers and all that
Yeah.
kind of, you know what I'm saying? And that's just arbitrary. I didn't say I did nothing like that, but
Hmm.
because it's a small community, so and the streets aren't that wide.
Yeah.
So and even over here, if I had the vibration of something less than unconditional love, that affects my animal, that affects my kids, that affects everybody who's connected to me because we are all interconnected. And if I throw a stone in the water, they call it skipping rocks. And you hits the water, it creates a wave, and the wave continues to go even beyond when you can't see it because it's still moving underneath because you threw the rock. So everything is affected by everything else. And when we understand that, we will stop judging and blaming and putting down and stuff because we will realize again that we're all one. And if I put you down, I'm putting me down. If I lift you up, I'm lifting me up. So I say, lift us up for 5,000, Alex.
One thing about this 77 that I like so much that always
Hmm.
rings true to me is that it is and it's a small line. It's Tao is patient and neutral,
Hmm.
right? And it quietly goes about its business. And what we do is what we as human beings with desires and goals and all of these things in the world, what we always do is we look outside for proof.
Hmm.
And the one thing that I really love is that this starts with a fact. The top is forced down when the bottom is moved up. It is
Hmm.
impossible for one to act without the other responding. So
Right.
when we look at the world right now of monetary the monetary gap, right? We got billionaires and we got poor people, right? Like,
Hmm.
we got people that are barely, making ends meet in the economic world. Like some of those people, like myself, who, are probably considerably below the poverty line, still like very fucking like abundant, like in all sorts of ways.
Yes.
But still, because I'm patient. But unlike man, Tao is patient, quietly adjusting excess and deficiency, taking from what is too much and giving to what isn't enough. We don't see that, and then ordinary men go against the Tao and do this taking and giving to what is, like, and all that. But then the master, then we go back to this patient and neutral with the master. The master knows that all things are being adjusted. Now that line, because the master knows, it doesn't have to be stated, but I'm going to state it. The master knows that all things being adjusted, meaning that even if she can't see the adjustment being made, she knows it is being adjusted.
I liken that to knowing that regardless to what happens, whether you judge it again, good or bad, profitable or loss, profit or loss, it all works together for you. It's
Right.
all good. It's all good. And when we label it these labels, we're only asking for more of uh the dichotomy that is this world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when we just plain old accept this just is and don't put anything on it because we really can't judge because
We
there's
don't
no
know.
beginning, there's no end, and we don't
Right.
know.
We don't know.
Okay.
We like to think we know.
We like to think we know, and then if you allow that judge to get loose in your own mind, it starts to sabotage you because you lock a person in a box.
Right.
I just wrote this about this 2 days ago. You lock a person in a box, and when you lock them in that box, that's the only way you can see them because that's the only point of view that you put them in because you've labeled and locked the box. And
Right.
you will never be able to see that person as any other thing but that, unless, of course, there's a shift.
Mm-hmm.
And beautiful thing is we get to shift, and this is talking about the dial shifting so that box can get shook loose, or that so that your perception can change, so that you can see the person in the box as something other than whatever it is that you've imagined them to be, because
Right.
you judged them to be. So it's about that's the shift that takes place in our mental minds, in our spiritual heart,
And so,
and even in our bodies, and that's all about back here we go back to the Tao, back to that energy that we all are created from as one being, and it's always seeking balance. So it's always gonna, if you go too far to the left, you may have to go far to the right. Then if you go not far, you know what I mean? It's always trying to find balance, and because this universe that we live in, and it's about finding balance. It's about the dichotomy, but finding the balance.
and what's great about how this one wraps up, because we got
Hmm.
these last two sort of to three sort of sentences
Okay.
that we let wrap up, is although she cannot always see it in action, she has faith it is working through her.
Hmm.
Right? Like, you don't need proof if you have this faith that it's okay. Whatever this is right now, it is, and we're okay with that. And although it could be difficult, and just like I was saying earlier, with the idea that, like, if we could approach our day every
Hmm.
morning the way the Tao starts, which is like, look, I'm not in control of what's going to happen today, but I'm going to enter it from a curious space. At least then you're open to it. You have faith in the fact that what's going to unfold is going to be coming from Tao.
And that's real. But I'm gonna say this. Yes, and this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if you actually don't take yesterday into today, I call that MOURNIG. When it's a good morning, so
Yeah.
are you gonna have a good morning, MORNING, which means the day is free and there's all possibilities, or are you gonna have a good morning, MOURNIG, because you took yesterday's crap and rolled it over to the next day.
Yes. Yes.
So so
And
it's
then there's
again,
this.
it's about perspective and understanding that, like you said, everything is touches everything else and it makes a difference. And even though we don't see it happening, everything is seeking balance in this universe. And when we decide that we're going to intentionally balance or intentionally do the things that will foster balance within our own self, then it's going to be easier for us. And then we won't worry about it because we know everything is seasonal.
Absolutely. Thank you
Mm.
so much. And and I just want to, like, just as just a way to just what you just said, as these last couple lines, in this way she allows her actions to unfold, neither dwelling on them nor taking credit. And that's kind of it's a lot of what you were just saying. It's like, look, this action is just happening. It's happening through me. And I have faith in that. Aligned with Tao, they complement all things. Oh, Lois came back. I want to see if she has anything to say about that last line, and then we'll get on to Terry and then Jessica. Did you want
last
to
line.
finish up?
It's very pivotal, and I just wanted to say thank you, Martin John, for allowing
Oh,
me to come up and talk to you and do this like I like to do all the time. And like I said, the whole thing is that we have to realize some things about ourselves and about judging things because we don't know the end result, but but we do know, and it's not just a belief. We got to get to a knowing, and we don't get to that unless we get some fear. So I'm gonna
right.
leave you with that, and I'm out.
All right, love. We'll talk soon. All right, we're gonna bring Terry on, and we're gonna.
Hello, Martin.
Hello, Terry. How are you?
Fine. I'm curious.
Good. I know is this the first time that you and I have interacted?
I believe it is
It
because I
is.
was
Well,
always
congratulations on congratulations to us. Like,
yes,
how are you?
very
And
well.
where are you at? You sound
I'm,
like you're in England.
I am in England. I'm in the UK,
Okay.
in the outskirts of London, in an
Okay.
undisclosed
In an
location.
undisclosed location. Good. Let's keep it undisclosed. Wonderful.
Right.
Well, how's
Uh,
how's how's London this winter?
it's quite mild today, actually, because we've had our share of extreme cold weather over the last
Oh,
month or two. But it's actually gone relatively mild, about 8 degrees Celsius.
okay. That
That's
is that's
pretty.
that's yeah, that's up there.
That's not bad. It has been a bit
Oh.
rainy here and there, but on the whole, it's more pleasant
you
than
are
it's
you are in London.
true. So we had to, well, but having said that, we've been having extremes of heat in the summer, Martin. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
we have not had our share. I'm in Chicago and or right around Chicago.
Mhm.
I'm currently in just over the border in Hammond, Indiana. Um but I born and raised in Chicago, and this is one of the most mild winters that I have ever experienced. So
Wow, yeah, because is, isn't Chicago what used to be called the Windy City? Is that still
yeah,
true? Or,
it's still true. It's still true. Names stick around longer than attributes, but
yeah.
but yeah, we are traditionally a very cold winter.
Mm,
I'm looking outside. It just snowed and stuck onto the ground for the first time like 2 days ago, and
yeah.
that's really rare. That's really rare. So, but you know, it's still gray. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate all seasons because they've all have their own special magic to offer.
That's true. I asked some. I was in the presence of someone being asked what their favorite season was, and they were always like, "The next one," and I was like,
Yeah,
"What a beautiful answer, right?"
that,
Like,
that's the
oh,
perfect time. Mm.
yeah, isn't it? Like it's just like, oh, I'm gonna love on like I'm gonna love on spring when it comes, and I'm gonna love, and as it comes, it's like, oh, this is beautiful, and then it's like, oh, I can't wait for summer. Like it's good. That's like, and you're just always being present with what is, but always kind of being welcoming of what's coming.
Yeah, I always appreciate springtime because it's new beginnings and it's a beautiful introduction to the summer in many ways because also you don't get like extremes of temperature. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
you got the summer period to look forward to, but I also appreciate
yeah.
autumn as well.
Yeah, they're all so beautiful. And there's something really nice about, the winter that we have where it's like gray and snow, and there's something really beautiful about that. I love going hiking and just being able to see through the wood, because
Yeah,
it's like, you normally can't do that because of all the growth. But this is Tao of the Day. Are you familiar with Tao of the Day?
I'm familiar, but I haven't got an in-depth knowledge, Martin. So
Okay.
what I would say is, though, I'm a great admirer of the martial artist Bruce Lee, and I believe his philosophy was fundamentally Taoism. So what's
Yeah.
good for Bruce
Yeah.
is good for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
So what I do is I ask you to just pick a number between 1 and 81.
Okay, in that case, I shall go for number 9.
Number 9. All right. So the Tao consists of 81 chapters, and the
Mhm.
chapter that you selected was is entitled "The Danger of Extremes,"
Yes.
and it goes, "Having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. Focus your attention on money and lose sight of what is valuable. Keep in mind outside influence, and you will be its prisoner. Do what
Mm.
you do and move on. It isn't yours anyway. So that's number 9. What are some of your thoughts there? And I can read it again. It's short enough if you need.
It's a very short one, isn't it? I was expecting it to be
It
longer than
is.
that. But
Yeah, no,
well,
this one's
well,
short
I'm
and
not
sweet.
a person of extremes. I try not to be. I hate any kind of extremism.
Yeah.
Far left and far right are much the same. Um, so yeah, try and have a balance in my life, and that includes nearly everything, from
Yeah.
politics to religion. I try and keep a balanced view, and yeah, not
Well,
be. Oh, have, I- can you hear me?
yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay, okay. I thought I'd been thrown into another room. That keeps happening to me a lot lately.
No, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to throw you into another room. So.
No,
He's
no.
like, all of a sudden, in a different conversation. Well, let's look at this. So, what I like to do is read it through, get your thoughts on it, and then we
Mm,
read it line by line and see if there's anything more that we can kind of like, uh, pull from it. So, the first line, 2 lines or whatnot, is having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. What are your
mm.
thoughts there?
Well, the only person you need to prove anything to is yourself, really. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I've been guilty of having to prove myself in my youth, and yeah, people pleasing and all that, and not been my true authentic self, Martin. What can I say? I have been guilty of that
Yeah.
in the past.
No, yeah,
But
if you and everybody else, you ain't alone on that. But what do you think it means that when you get into the state of having to prove yourself, that you're allowing challenges to best you?
hmm well,
I look at that, and I see, if you don't mind,
yeah,
um, I look at that and I see this idea of like, as soon as you have to prove yourself, what you're doing is you're needing to prove yourself to someone else,
yeah,
and so you're allowing their rules
yeah,
to kind of control your experience. And then all of a
exactly.
sudden, before you needed to prove yourself, you were perfect in every way. And now
Yeah,
that you have taken someone else's idea of what perfect is, and now you're trying to prove that you're perfect, or prove that you're right, or prove anything about yourself to another person, and you start
that's right.
using their graph, their measuring stick. Now all
Yeah,
of a sudden you can be not perfect.
yes,
But
in their
until then,
eyes.
what's that?
Yeah,
And yeah, but if you're trying to prove them, now you are putting yourself right. You're right in their eyes, but you're the one that's trying to prove yourself to them. So all of a
yeah,
sudden, you're, as you said earlier, giving up of your own identity, giving up of your own self
yeah,
to prove, like, all of a sudden challenges can best you, because
yes,
when you're just you, no challenge can best you because
yeah.
it's you.
And what that does is bring doubt into your awareness, and
Mm,
yeah, and there lies insecurity. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
As we
No,
move to, go on.
no, it's very true. It's very true. Um, and when you say that the Tao is like a progression from number one to number 81, so 81 is like the master level, is it? And number one is
Mm,
is,
it's not. There is no. Although yes, as I translated the Tao, I recognize that yes, there is some, like, if you read number 6 and then you read number 35, let's say, there might be a, oh yes, this was referenced before.
yeah,
And so there is some sort of progression. There is no master level, right? Like,
right,
the
yeah,
Tao starts by saying, don't think this is Tao. These are just
mm,
words, and
yeah,
words cannot express what Tao is. And so when
yeah,
we pick a number, we can pull that out and say, how does this affect my life right now?
mm,
As we move on to the next line, it states, focus your attention on money and lose sight of what is valuable.
yeah, yeah. Because Oscar Wilde said, "A critic is somebody who knows the price of everything, but the value of nothing."
Mm.
Yeah.
See, that's beautiful, right? Like, what is valuable? We get. I mean, I know somebody who was, reaching for money, money, all like, and I was very, yes, go get what you want, get what you want. I really, and then now that they have it, they're like, well, I'm still not happy, and I was like, no, that was never going to be the case, was it? Like,
Yeah, but you see, the only reason we need money, Martin, is because society um, deems that this is the only way you can survive. And if you don't have money, then in society's eyes, you're worthless.
yeah.
Yeah, you have no
Why should I
value.
listen to you? You haven't made any money, right?
Yeah, exactly. And fundamentally, though, the old way of doing things, and I believe, all the great philosophies and the best parts most world religions, all emphasize the value of, you know, loving one another as yourself, and don't judge,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, helping one another. But the trouble is, for some reason, um, it's like society or the establishment, whatever you want to call it, um, has lost its soul, and so it we gained the world but lost our soul, Martin. Or
Yeah.
a lot, that's the way I look at it. But
No, that's and so much of it is about this outside influence, right? Like having to prove yourself, that means to someone else. Focusing your attention on money, money doesn't have any, and if you have nothing to spend it on, like if you're trapped on a fucking island somewhere, your money
yeah,
doesn't do anything, right?
doesn't mean a
And
thing.
then this
No.
last line of this triplet of things is keep in mind outside influence, and you will be its prisoner. And this has to
Yes.
do with others that you want to prove yourself to. It has to do with
Yeah.
money. Money is an outside influence.
Yeah. Yeah. But money is a form of energy. Yeah, and it's you know the love of money is the root of all evil. But money in itself isn't evil. But
No.
it's the way people like to amass it more than they'd ever need to spend in a million lifetimes. It's quite incredible, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
and that's the fear of death.
yeah,
So often it's like fear of not being in control. When I have money, I'm in control. I can control
yeah,
you because I can just there's a price for everything, right? Like
yeah. But the thing is, Martin, you can't take it with you.
that's right. That's right. You can't. And people like,
Well, you can give it. You can
some
give it to your descendants, I suppose. But
yeah.
and
And go on.
no, sorry, I did want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Does the Taoism believe in like a creator of the universe?
Well, the universe comes from Tao.
Hmm.
Whether and what I look at is the philosophy of Tao, not the religion of Tao. So although
Hmm.
Taoism is a religion,
Yeah.
Um, the Tao Te Ching is a philosophical text, and it
Mm.
is a text, and we know that because it starts by stating words cannot express it. the
Yeah.
the
Okay.
reason that it states that is because once you start using words, you are using the brain, you are
Yeah.
using the mind, and that is not what Tao is. Tao is not the mind, right? Tao is
Oh,
bigger than that. Tao is actually the void. Tao is no thing. Tao is the emptiness within every cell of the universe, and that is Tao, right?
ah.
and
Yes.
and so the emptiness is Tao, and that is the grand yin, right? That is the feminine. That
Mm.
is that which can receive. And you can
Mm.
put anything within the void, and all of a sudden you start having structure. That's masculine. Now you have the balance. So it's hard to express like who created something and
Yeah.
understand that you are like the planet is your principle and you can express yourself here. And
Yeah.
that is and you can't understand where the planet came from because the
Mm.
planet's principle is the universe and the
Yeah.
universe's principle is the Tao. right? Is
Oh,
Tao.
right.
And so as you move up consciousness, then you can understand, like, those the planet understands much more than you could ever understand. And so
Yeah.
that's where faith and recognizing that you're not going to understand it.
And meditism is welcomed in Taoism.
Like meditate. Well, yeah,
Meditation.
nothing is not welcomed. Like murder is welcomed in Taoism, because it's part, and like, if somebody murders somebody, then that happened, and that is part of it.
Yeah. Mm,
There is nothing that is not part of it,
yeah.
because everything is part of it. Come back up, and then we'll move on to Jessica if you have the time to come back up for a brief chat. So yeah, nothing is not part of it, and maybe
When
when
we
we
talk
talk
about the
about the
religious
religious
aspects,
aspects of what Tao talks about, I don't know much about those. I mean, I've been to Taoist temples and things like in China and in Taiwan, but
So,
they don't speak to me the way Tao does,
mm, yeah.
the way the
So
Tao Te
it's
Ching
you've got the
as the
philosophy
birth text.
aspect of Taoism, and you've also got the religious aspect. And some people combine the two, and some people follow one or the other. Is that right? Or
Yeah, and follow is interesting, because I mean, the Tao has helped me. Just like, if I were to ask you, where in your life are you trying to prove yourself these days? And if you were to look at that, and you were to look at this danger of extremes, having to prove yourself will allow challenges to best you. Focusing your attention on money, you lose sight of what is valuable. Keep in mind outside influence, and you will be its prisoner. And then this last line: do
yeah.
what you do and move on. It isn't yours anyway. And that line, do what you do and move on. If you could look at what you do and just, curiously say, well, did I do that to prove myself?
Mm,
Did I do that because of money? Did I
yeah.
do that because of outside influence? And then
Ah, yeah.
once you start stripping away all
Yeah.
of those things, now you can start seeing what it is you do.
Mm, yeah.
And when you do, you don't take credit.
Mm,
You recognize it isn't yours anyway.
yeah.
It is part of Tao, and
Yeah.
you are being influenced to be you through Tao.
Mm,
And if that means, when I work with individuals, I always say, look, if you're a murderer and you come and work with me, and if you're truly a murderer, you will leave me being a better murderer, not not being a murderer.
yeah.
Because
Oh,
if
that's
you're truly a murderer, go do it.
yeah.
Now, if you may find that you've been fooling yourself and you're not actually a murderer while you work with me,
Ah,
and that is going to change your life. But
there was a
I
fake
don't.
murderer, or you know.
Yeah. You might just be influenced because you're angry and you're influenced by those around you, and then you go and hurt people. Well,
Yeah.
once you recognize that your anger is there within you and, requires attention and love, then
Well, well,
then you can grow through that.
well, that's very fascinating. I wonder if a lot of the French follow Taoism because they used to. I don't know if they still have it. Used to have this crime of passion. If it was a crime of passion, you
Mhm.
got away with the murder, didn't you? Because a
Yeah.
crime of passion in the heat of the moment.
Right, right.
Mm,
And that is a low crimes of passion I look at as low guttural sort of actions, where what we're talking about is high. You,
yeah.
like, if you are thinking in your highest clearest mind, my guess is you would never murder. But like myself, like, when I look at murder, I look at murdering animals to eat. And so I'm going to be raising rabbits, and I'm going to be murdering each and every one of them to eat them. Now, am I okay with that? Yes.
Yeah. Well, the Native
Right?
Americans always said a prayer for the buffalo after they killed it,
Absolutely. I
and
am
they
going to I am going to name my rabbits. I'm going to care for them, and I am going to gratefully, like, for the lack of a better term, I'm going to murder them. And I'm going to
yeah,
do it in a way that is um full of respect.
yeah. Well, murder is a loaded expression, isn't it?
It is, but we have to take away,
Yeah,
like, every word is just a couple of letters put together. That's it.
yeah,
Mean nothing until we put our shit on it.
yeah,
And so, like, I don't like being held by that. And so I use words that are not, that people
yeah,
will like, oh, but you mean this. And I was like, no, no, no. You define it that way.
yeah.
That's not what I said. What I say and what you hear have nothing to do with one another.
Hmm. All you can do is honestly express yourself in life. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
And
that's right. And then
and
you
we
let it
think,
go, just
yeah,
like it says here. Do what you do, say what you say, and move on. It isn't yours
yeah,
anyway. It's coming from you.
yeah, because mankind thinks too much and feels too little. I believe. I feel.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. All right, I have Jessica in the queue. I'm going to
Um,
go ahead and switch out,
I
but I
appreciate
really
you.
appreciate chatting with you, Terry. Thank you so
I,
much for coming up.
I appreciate you as well. Thank you very much, Martin.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to bring Jessica up. It's been a while since I've spoken with Jessica.
John, how are
How
you?
are you? It has been too long.
It has definitely been too long, but I'm gonna tell you, there's that synchronicity that happens, right? I need you to do me a favor. Those last two lines you were reading to Lois, can you read them back to me, please? Because they were intended for me.
Okay. You just want the end there.
Yeah, just those last two lines. I caught just those last two lines. And all of a sudden, the inside of me just warmed up. And I was like, oh, I didn't catch it. So
Okay.
I need to hear it.
She has faith. It, Tao, is working through her. Oh, let me start a little earlier. Although she cannot always see it in action, she has faith it is working through her. In this way, she allows her actions to unfold, neither dwelling on them nor taking credit. Aligned with Tao, they complement all things.
I needed that, Martin John. I got tears in my eyes.
Like, I can feel that. I can, my whole, like, I got goosebumps everywhere for you. So like I want you to just sit, and I want to read this whole thing with you. And
Okay.
just be still with me for a moment.
Yeah.
Tao acts on the world as the bending of a bow. The top is forced down when the bottom is moved up. It is impossible for one to act without the other responding. Unlike man, Tao is patient and neutral, quietly adjusting excess and deficiencies, taking from what is too much and giving to what isn't enough. Ordinary men go against Tao, taking resources from areas that are deficient, giving resources to areas that compulsively consume. The master knows all things are being adjusted. Although she cannot always see it in action, she has faith it is working through her. In this way, she allows her actions to unfold, neither dwelling on them nor taking credit. Aligned with Tao, they complement all things.
I needed that so much in this moment. And I'm walking in this season, and God's been really reiterating this to me that I am walking in this season of kind of winter, right? Where it is just this moment of reflection. It's this moment of rest. It's this moment of just sitting still and allowing everything to just be what it's being, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's also this other thing that is happening where we've just moved into this house, and I'm really enjoying this moment of just being a mom, just being a wife, just being this person that I am right now in this season. But at the other side of that is, of course, all of the other stuff that I do that is kind of just sitting back right now, right? Like
Yeah.
everything
You
I
and me
do.
both, by the way. This is not you're not alone in this experience.
Yeah, and it's really kind of conflicting because I can see what is at work right now is something that's been deficient for 3.5 years, right? This place of getting to be a mom in my own home, being a wife in my own home. I've been cooking. I want to make butter. I want to make bread. I mean,
Mm.
they seem like such little trivial things, but I've not been able to do that for 3.5 years in my own home. Not only that, I wasn't really that person 3.5 years ago when we walked out of our house. So I'm really enjoying just being in my home, and I like every meal I cook right now is just the most beautiful meal I have ever cooked. The time, the energy, the love that is going into it feels so beautiful, and it has been this area of deficiency for me.
Yeah.
And so when you're reading that to me, I can hear what I'm walking in. I can hear this place that I'm in right now. And though even though I'm not sending other things out to other people, and I'm not serving other people, and I'm not doing what I know that I'm called to do, I'm still doing what I'm called to do, because being a wife right now and being a mom right now is the most important thing that I can do. And just being me, right? Fulfilling this need that's gone unfulfilled for the past 3.5 years. So when you read that, it was like I'm creating something different right now. And it doesn't feel um I don't know how to explain it. It's
So
the
I want
right
to, I want to,
thing.
I want to step in just a moment. I heard a couple things that I want to help reflect upon. One was that you had an idea of where you wanted to go before. You
Yes.
had an idea of what your purpose was. You had this, no offense, small idea of you, this identity that you held, serving others, doing all of this stuff. And then you looked out in the world for a long period of time and you got confirmation that that's good.
Right.
And now you find yourself no longer in that. And so, like, this is what I read with Terry in number 9 was really important also, because when I was reading with Terry, it was like, don't bring outside influence into it.
Right.
And who you are and what you do is what you do and who you are. It is not who you were. So you can't judge what you are today from a position that you remember yourself being in before.
Yes.
You are serving more people in a better way, quietly going about your business. And it says here, unlike man, Tao is patient and neutral. You are not neutral, or you haven't been, because you have judged from a different perspective. Unlike man, Tao is patient and neutral, quietly adjusting excess and deficiencies, taking from
Yes.
what is too much, giving to what isn't enough. And here you are doing that, and yet there's still judgment. Ordinary men go against the Tao, taking resources from areas that are deficient and giving resources to areas that compulsively consume. What else? How else can we, like, compulsively consume? Everybody that you've ever served, so many of us on social media and just gathering information, all we do is compulsively consume. And here you are, quietly going about your business, making bread and butter and building a life and a foundation for your children and yourself. And as we enter the end of this 77, it's like the master knows all things are being adjusted. You know that things are being adjusted, and you can step back and you're properly just stepping into who you are today. That doesn't mean you won't tomorrow go write a book, but it means today you're here making bread. Be here, make bread. Do that to the best of your ability, because that's who you are right now.
I needed this so much, Martin John. I just because I know what I'm doing is right, right? Like
Yes.
I'm serving myself right now, and sometimes when we're serving ourselves it feels so selfish, because we know that we're kind of pulling away from other people, but this is where I'm at right now. And
No, it's not. Like you are not, and I want you to stop thinking you're serving yourself. By you doing this, you are serving others. And it doesn't look that way from your perspective because you have been under the influence of other people telling you what it looks like to serve others. But you are allowing yourself to love in a new way. And that is contributing to my life in a way that you will never know and you will never be able to point at. And it goes back to the first verse of the Tao. Words are particular. They can't express this. Your actions are particular. They can't express what is actually happening. You say you're making bread, but I say you are contributing to the benefit of every person on the planet, even though that bread is going to feed 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. What you are putting into the world is this adjusting. The bow is being bent, and you are showing the world, and you are contributing to the world. You're not just making another course. You're not just saying another thing. You're not just going out there making something that can be consumed. You are contributing to the foundation of the advancement of our consciousness.
I needed that. I understand that. Oh my God, I understand that. Because even so I'm gonna break it down because I'm just making bread, right? To me, I'm just making bread, but I'm feeding my kids. And this is something that I do understand on a deep level is that even though I'm just feeding my kids, what my kids will go out to do into the world as they get older or every day and the impact of their lives is going to come from me making bread, right? Like by me making sure they're healthy and nutritious. And this is just one example. By me making sure they're healthy and nutritious and sending them out, I keep them here so that they can continue on to fulfill their purpose and plan in life. So right now my purpose and plan in life is just to be here and make bread or to do whatever it is that I'm doing right now in these most recent days, and just to sit there and do that because it is the impact. Our lives, and I do understand this, our lives are not just our lives, right? Our lives are always impacting on other people's lives in one way or another. If it's even just simply giving someone a glass of milk or fixing bread or whatever it is that we're doing, that still is having an impact because there is the cause and effect, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
everything that we do, of every action that we have, there is a cause and effect. Even if we can't see it, it's the butterfly effect,
Yep.
the
Yep.
butterfly
Yep.
that
Yep.
flaps its wings and creates a tsunami, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that's the thing. And so I really needed this because like I said, I've been just sitting in winter and I'm okay with sitting in winter, but then I get those moments that come through and it's like, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not putting anything out. I'm not serving people in the way you're right, in the way that I would right now believe that I'm supposed to. And that I know that I'm going to. But right now I'm just in this place cuz this place is a place that I've been longing for, and so I'm actually living where I want to be living and doing exactly what I'm wanting to live, and I'm not meeting other people's expectations, and I'm kicking myself in the butt, and I'm working this out in real time with you right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah. And
And
like, so this is like your this old Jessica that is connected to all of these influences and connected to her productivity, connected to her ability to help others in some way. And one of my quotes is, "Do you believe you can help other people?" And I say, "You're wrong. There are no other people. Everybody that you think you're helping is a reflection of you. And so you got to really be you in order to help in order to help others. Because what you do when you go out and you help others is you see what's wrong. You look at what's wrong. You're looking for what's wrong, but there's nothing wrong. There's never ever been anything wrong. And here you are making bread. And what we have to do is we have to recognize that that old Jessica is dying and you keep putting her on life support. And the thing is You have all of that within you, but you can let go of that identity.
I so needed this, Martin John. I so needed you today. This is the truth. There's a new person today than there was yesterday.
Yes.
And
And you need to mourn that person. This
yes.
quiet time, mourning.
Yes. That's what the winter season is about, isn't it?
You're in mourning.
Yeah. It's ending one thing so that a new thing can begin. It's
Yes.
is it allowing it one thing to pass away. That's why the pruning process and all of these different things that we go through are so important to our lives so that the new growth can happen.
Yep. The Tao says, like, you are connected when you can die, but not perish. And here you are. You're allowing yourself. I mean, you have to let go and allow that identity to die, and then rebirth into who you are now. And that's going
Into
to
the
bring
next
you
season.
to something new.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, because then we go into.
Yep. You broke off. So why don't you come back up and let's wrap this up. That'd be great.
And that's what spring is. As we come out of winter, we go into spring. And spring is that new growth, that new thing, that new life, and that new experience, whatever it is, in your life and in your moment. And even in this moment, there's something dying and something growing
Hmm.
at the exact same time,
That's
you
right.
know.
Yeah,
And
you're
I'm
never
just
without.
no,
You're never left without. But you're always transitioning. There's something that is, it's dying and then it is sprouting, then it is blossoming, and then it is seeding, and then it is doing all of the things, and then it dies. And then
yeah.
again, while it's dying, those seeds that were planted from there start to break ground. It's constant. It's a cycle.
Can you hear that? That's a breath.
Yeah. I gotcha. I gotcha.
That's a breath.
Yeah.
I just, and that's the thing that I'm getting, but it's like I think it's just all confused right now. And it's like because I know where I'm at, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm supposed to be doing is what I'm doing right now. And I'm not in conflict with that, but I'm in conflict with what I'm not doing, right? That's where the
Mhm.
conflict comes because now I'm like, but I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. I'm not
You're
meeting.
afraid to die.
Yes. Yes.
That's it. It's just fear of death.
I needed this, Martin
Yeah,
John.
absolutely. I'm glad I could be here. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Can I pick a number? I just want to
Yes, please
hear out
do.
of
Please
curiosity.
do.
I was going to go with 13. I moved on to 14, so I'm going to go with 15 now. Can I have 15?
Yeah. 15 is entitled Ancient Tao. The ancient master's ability to comprehend the mystery was so profound and subtle that they were misunderstood. One could only describe how they must have appeared. Careful as someone hearing ice crack midway through crossing a lake. Observant as someone surrounded by toxic threats. Curious as a guest in awe of her host. Unpretentious as a felled branch in a wood. Vacant as someone staring into space. And dull as a man with nothing to boast about. Can you be still, adding nothing until the mud settles? And it gives you the opportunity to see clearly? Can you be still until, on its own accord, the next action presents itself to you? The master has no need for herself. She doesn't seek or expect attention. Not needing to appease herself, she has no requests.
If that couldn't have been more perfect, I'm just saying.
So, what do you hear here?
uh, just continue what I'm doing. Be
Hmm.
still. just be. And that's that, be in the winter, be in the stillness, be in the, in winter we hibernate, in winter we just kind of cozy in and sit still and get under our blankets and just be present where we're at right now, and we kind of sit with ourselves. And that's where I'm at. This is the season right now of just being still. I not putting anything out other than what is just fulfilling to my current need or my current desire or my current whim, whatever it may be. And the rest of it, just let it be. And it
Right.
really is just be still.
Yeah. This one starts really beautifully, and it's like the ancient master's ability to comprehend the mystery was so profound and subtle that they were misunderstood. And here we find ourselves often, and the way you're expressing, we find you have found yourself in a space where it's like, if I do these things, then I'll be understood. But to understand the mystery and to have faith in the mystery to that degree that, like, if you were to, and this is what you did, you were like, this is the right thing to do. I am going about my business and I am going to make bread and butter and stuff. But you were afraid that you were going to be misunderstood. It was like, people aren't going to know that I'm trying to help them, that's still a passion of mine. That's still because this part of me is going to die. But that part of you was simply ego.
Yes.
And then, now it says one can only describe how they must have appeared. And then we go through this sextet of things of what does it look like to comprehend the mystery?
Yeah.
Careful as someone hearing ice crack midway through walking over a lake. Imagine you're walking over a lake and in the middle of it, you hear a crack. Now, all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
I can hear it.
yeah. Observant as someone surrounded by toxic threats. If you're surrounded by toxic threats, whether that be rattlesnakes or people, you have to keep your eye, you have to be observant of everything without focusing on anything. You have to make sure that you are protected. But you're also courteous as a guest in awe of her host. You're present, you're appreciative, and you receive. Unpretentious as a felled branch in a wood. You wouldn't even take notice of it.
Because you wouldn't even hear it or see it or
Right.
recognize it.
No. But you might sit on it. You might, and you're just there. And you may interact with it, but it's not trying to be anything. It's not trying to be beautiful. It's not trying to be seen. And that's what, like, I'm helping people. Look at me. Versus I'm making bread. There's nothing to see here, but there's so much there. Vacant is someone staring into space. And this is that judgment that you feel. It's like, I'm doing nothing. It's like, no, you're perfect. And dull as a man with nothing to boast about.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's the one that really stood out to me. Like
That
when
one
you
I
have,
love.
and that's the thing, right? Like, you did have things to boast about when you were helping others. There were things that were obvious you were doing. Now, well, I made bread, but it's gone now. And like, is it important for me to take a picture of my bread and put it on the internet so everyone knows I'm making bread? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're making bread. But it means everything that you're making bread.
Yeah, it means everything. And it
Yeah.
really does. And that's the thing is that these are those things that right now are just so satisfying, so fulfilling, and it
Yes.
sounds so simple. And
Mm.
I want you're gonna have to text me that line, Martin John, of
Yeah.
the sitting the old man, because the thing is that that's where I want that place, right? That's the place that sometimes we long to be at, is just, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to be still, and I'm not going to have anything to say. You don't have to know what I'm doing or where I'm at or whatever, but I'm going to be fulfilling to myself in this moment and just be still. Just be still and not worry whether or not I'm falling short or worrying about the voices in my head
It's
or
impossible.
Yes.
Yes. It's
Yes.
impossible to do that. And then
Yes.
that's where this next line goes. Can you be still, adding nothing until the mud settles and gives you the opportunity to see clearly?
Yes.
Currently, you can't see clearly. So be still until you can. Can you be still until, on its own accord, the next action presents itself to you? You don't add anything, right? Like, that's the first one. Can you be still, adding nothing? And now, can you be still until, on its own accord, the next actions present themselves to you?
And that I can do. I really
Yeah.
can. I'm really and I'm receiving of that. I am so there, Martin John, and it's just this that little conflict that we have inside and but I am so there. I'm so like, yes, let me just sit here until I find inspiration or I feel inspired to do something different. And I'm okay with that, right?
You know, it never
Like,
takes me long when I attempt to sit until the next action presents itself. Like within an hour, I find myself doing dishes or doing something, and I'm like, I don't even remember making the decision to do this.
yes.
It's just being done. And I don't remember how I came to do this, but now I find myself doing it. And that's it. And then I go sit, and I'm like, okay, well, dishes are done. I guess I'm going to go sit still again. Then I go sit still. Once again, within an hour, something else happens.
And it's all satisfying and it's all so
Yes.
rewarding and it's all so fulfilling. And it fills up this thing right now for me, this vessel inside of me that I didn't even realize was so depleted, right? That felt so empty on the inside. And I'm enjoying that, right? Like I sit and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, let me go do this. Or like I like they might not taste best to everybody else, but to me, like every meal I've been cooking, it's like been the most magical meal ever. And it's something simple as just hamburgers, right? But it's been the most magical meal ever to fix because I'm doing it. I'm doing it in my own home. I'm taking the time. I'm doing it the way I want, and I'm feeding my family, and it is just so satisfying. You know what it is, Martin John? It's sitting and remembering that the simple things are just important as the big things. That's the line
Well,
right
there
there.
is no difference.
Yeah.
That's
This
the thing. The We have to recognize that when we say little
Mhm.
and when we say big, those are judgments.
Yes, they are.
And
They
those
are.
judgments are coming from someone else because they are
Yes.
not intrinsic to us.
Yes. And I agree with you 100% that it's all equal. That, you guys, anybody who's listened to me knows that I believe everything is equal on an equal playing field. And that's the thing is they're just as all of it across the board is just as important. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing. If you're putting big things out there in the world that impact a bunch of lives, or if you put the little things, and I think that's what I've forgotten in this moment that I needed you to remind me is that what I am doing is still important, even if it's only important to a couple of people
And and
versus a
and I want
hundred.
and I want you to that is just conspicuous, right?
Yeah.
When it is conspicuous to be, affected, like, oh, look, like, I got 1 million followers and I'm affecting and I'm selling all these books, I'm doing all this stuff. You're making bread may be affecting more people than that, but it's not conspicuous. That's all.
Yes.
This verse wraps up with this: the master has no need for herself,
Yeah.
small s, no need for herself. She doesn't seek or expect attention. Those two sentences, like, that's, if you, like, when you have a need for yourself, that means that you have all of these expectations. That means you have all of this ego attached to it. You have
Mhm.
all of these ideas of your identity. But when you can give up your identity for this moment, you're connected to Tao. You are surrendering to Tao. Let's put it that way, because you're always connected to Tao. But you are surrendering to everything, and that doesn't mean that you've lost that other identity. But that other identity needs something else to grow through, and here you are going through it in this way,
And
not
it's
needing to go on. Go on.
No, you go ahead.
So the last line is not needing to appease herself. She has no requests.
A
You
peace
know,
has settled over my being, Martin John. That's all I can tell you is that,
yeah.
that as you're reading these last lines, this peace is just settling over my being. And I can feel it from the top of my head all the way down. And I've got chills on my arms. I needed this reminder of who I am and what I'm doing. Man, so don't stop. Please keep going. But I just had to tell you that this peace is just settled over my spirit, and just this
Mm,
quietness has settled. Even in the room that I'm sitting, it's like all of a sudden everything is so quiet. Like there's no noise outside, there's no nothing. Everything is just very still and very quiet. It's very beautiful.
everything is, always. And that's the thing. When we can see that, and that we're a part of that, and that we are, you know, it will come through us. It's not us doing it. Just like I read with Terry, like, it's not yours anyway. All of the work that you've done and all the work you will do, even making your bread, it's not yours. You are being, you are surrendering to Tao. Now be here, do this, and don't judge it. Allow it.
I love that so much. I wish you.
You cut off. But I am sitting right there. It's true. I'm right there. And I'm with you. And I'm grateful for you. And thank you all for coming up. Thank you, Lois, and Lois for 77. And Jessica owes you a big thanks as well for that 77. And Terry, thank you for coming up and picking number 9. And Jessica, that number 15 really wrapped everything up really nicely. We covered a little bit of 9, a little 77, and I appreciate you all for coming up and joining me. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. If you appreciate and like what I present, Zen Master. Oh, we're getting a Zen Master coming up. Zen Master is going to come up and pick a number. I said, oh, nope. Zen Master is not going to come up and pick a number. If you did want to come up, please do. If anybody benefits from the work that I do here on Tao of the Day, I always welcome tips over on Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia. Thank you so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. I'm usually here Monday through Friday, sometime in the morning Central Time. Zen Master, if you are out there and wanna join me on this, I would be happy to pick another number. So yeah, stillness is my goal today. So when I end this, I'm gonna shut everything down and we're gonna be still. See what happens. It's always wonderful to see that. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.